And I know it's not much, but I've nothing else fit for a king except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah.
Yes, welcome everybody to the house of the Lord. Thank you for coming out. Some of you may not know, but we have heavy hearts today. We give condolences to Sister Tanya, passing of her great dad, Brother Joey Sanchez, Sister Annette, and Minister Such. There was their brother-in-law, but friend, and a lot of other things. It just so happens to be my dad's birthday would have been today, and the last 20 years of his life, Brother Joey was his best friend, and so they had a special bond. And if you know my dad, he's extremely picky on connecting with somebody. And I know that they had that relationship, that they shared the things that they wouldn't share with just anybody, and I'm well aware of that. So it's a heavy heart we all have. I give you, Sister Tanya, I give you credit for coming today. Of course, as a pastor, my heart goes with them and the rest of the Sanchez family. I always tell the staff, give me the majors. Don't give me the minors, give me the majors. And these are majors. It just so happens his last full night, I was with him and spent time with him. He was awake. He was trying to say some things, but I didn't try and go in conversation. But I had a lot of thoughts, of course, I won't share right now, but Sister Tanya, I didn't leave until he started snoring. I couldn't. And once I heard him start to snore, it was like I couldn't leave if I wouldn't have left if he was looking at me, if you understand. So I heard the snores, and then I was like, okay. But it wasn't, it was difficult without getting in all the details, but we have a heavy heart today. So your prayers are desired for the Sanchez family. I think you know, Sister Tanya, it's all at anything this congregation has. I know Sister Stella's also in mourning that she's lost her sister. And so we have two families mourning at the same time. What did Mordecai tell his niece? For such a time as this. Meaning, that's why we do what we do, to help support, to lend there's nothing wrong with worshiping in a time like this, but it's just different. But I share that just so we're all on the same page here, because you might sense the heaviness. So as I said, two families going through this. I can tell you stories. This brother Matt passed away and actually died while I was praying for him. I know I've shared that story, but those are things that are on my shoulders. I'm not trying to ask you to feel sorry for me. I just want you to understand the weight my legs have to carry. Because if I can't be a help, what am I doing? If I can't be a support, what am I doing? And so all the little things all of you do helps me to carry the big things. Did you catch that? So I say, what's so big deal about cleaning the windows or vacuuming? It frees me up. I could go more, but we're going to go into the book of Genesis. One scripture, verse 30 or 16. I'm looking at a few things here. Genesis 28 and 16. We're going to be midstream here in the story. You should know it. If you don't, that's okay. And Jacob awakened out of his sleep. This is when he saw the angels ascending and descending into heaven. And he said, surely the Lord is in this place. Surely the Lord is in this place. And I knew it not. You may be seated. Those of you that understand Jacob, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So when you hear the name Israel, it comes from this patriarch whose birth name was Jacob. And I have to think the name that comes across people's mouth around the whole world, it's got to be top 5. Top 5 words that come across people's lips all around the world is the name Israel. It's on everybody's lips in every country. Every nation says Israel. They may say it with hate, they may say it with love, they may say it with indifference, they may say it with admiration, but everybody says the name Israel. It's one of the most controversial names there is in the world. But I'm not going to drill down on that part. I'm just wanting us to know that as a footnote, because I want to drill down on the man. The man Israel, the man Jacob. And the man Jacob had issues. He had issues. And the reason I share that is because it's no different than me, it's no different than you. We have issues. And I don't say issues with the saying it for an excuse. I'm not saying it for a license to do wrong. And you've heard me say this, how people say, well, this is the way I'm born. This is the way I'm going to die. I'm not a nice person. I was born not a nice person. I'm going to die a not a nice person. No. That's why we should be better today than we were yesterday. And we should be better tomorrow than we were today. So as a pastor, I always attempt to lead this congregation with the desire that we may not be perfect and we may not be flawless, but we're making progress forward. Right? We're growing, we're maturing. And this man, Jacob, came with curses. And one of the curses that was there was the curse of deception. His mom was deceptive. She's the one that taught him how to deceive. She mentored him in deceiving. And Jacob deceived. He deceived his brother. He deceived his father, Isaac. He deceived him. He told his father that he was his brother Esau. This is me now. I have this thinking that Isaac had to know that it was Jacob when he came for the blessing of his birthright, for Esau's birthright. Because he even said, he goes, your voice sounds like Jacob. Don't you think that a father would know the difference in his son's voices. And he even made reference to it. But somewhere, I have to believe Isaac just went with it. Then when Esau came, he was like, I already gave the blessing away, but I have another one for you. And if you don't know, these two brothers, Esau and Jacob, they're warring right now. The two brothers are warring to this day. Yes, Esau and Jacob are warring right now. And most likely, maybe tomorrow, Iran and Israel will be going to war. Any day now, they're going to be going to war. And Israel, the nation, is like the size of Maricopa County. It's very small. Iran, on the other hand, is gigantic. It's one of the biggest nations in the world land-wise. The United States is of course bigger. We have a huge nation here as far as land mass. But Israel's a tiny little sliver on the map. And Iran is big. Why do I share that? Because it's a lot easier for Iran to go against that little sliver than it is for Israel to go against that big mass. The other thing is that Iran has Lebanon on its side. It has these other countries on its side. And for some reason, Russia's putting troops there also. Anyone want to know why? Because they want to have following on their social media. They're not there to film. They're there because it's like, hey, we want to get in this thing too. But they're going to jump on Iran's side. Even though they have different agendas, they agree on one thing. Israel, and I don't always agree with this statement, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't always agree with that. But that's where they are, because they despise Israel, so they're in cahoots. So they're all Syria. Syria's another one. They're surrounded with all these countries, and it's just a matter of time. You're going to hear on your news that Iran's going to be shooting missiles into Israel, and you might hear it in a 1 minute little sound bite, but it's going to be coming any day now. And this man that held the name Israel came in and he knew deception. And his mom taught him deception, and then his brother got angry and he ran. He left. And you know the story. What ended up happening is Jacob got deceived. His father-in-law deceived him 20 times. 20 times he deceived. And the deception, if we think back, do you remember when Abraham and Sarah, and they went into this land, and Abraham told them that Sarah was his sister? He wasn't lying totally, because she was his sister, but it was his wife. Yeah. But I know that sounds kind of strange, but he lied and said that Sarah was just his sister. He didn't tell him the whole truth until God started getting them, and they're like, "What did you do here, Abraham?" He said, "That's my wife." And he's like, "Why did you lie to me? You guys need to get out of here." But that deception was in the DNA. But then Jacob really got it, came back to him. The deception came back to him. So why am I sharing all this? Because the beautiful thing that I like about Jacob's life is the man that he wasn't the man that died. He was a different man when he died than when he was a young man. And I look at it this way. When he said, I knew it not. I didn't know. Not as an excuse, but he was saying, I missed it. The presence of the Lord is in this place, and I missed it. And it's not the missing part that's beautiful. It's that he owned it, that he missed it. That he owned that he missed it. See, if we can't own when we miss it, we're never going to see it. If we, instead of us admitting we don't know everything, to just make everyone think we know everything, we're missing it. Instead of saying, I missed it, Lord. And I don't need to ask you if you've missed something, because I know you have. Because we all have. We miss some things. We misread some things. We misjudge some things. We misunderstand some things. But I know some things the Lord hides from us. He don't lie to us, but he hides from us, because sometimes we're not ready for some things. Sometimes we're not ready for some things. And I've been through things in my life that I know the Lord just didn't allow me to know, because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I couldn't handle it. But to find out later on in my life, after I grew a little bit, and then it's like, oh wow, I didn't get that before. There's no way you're the same person you were 10 years ago. And that's okay. And then people say that you changed. That's all right. In fact, that's a good thing. Say, you've changed. Yes, I've changed. I'm so glad I'm not the person I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And I don't want to be the same person tomorrow that I am today. I have a lot more patience today than I did yesterday. I look at situations that in my younger days I would have handled differently. But I have to pick my battle as you do. You have to pick your battles. And when I say give me the majors, why? Because I don't want to choke on the minors. And I'm giving it to you that you need to focus on your majors and don't choke on your minors. How did Jesus say it? Nobody? You remember? You choke on gnats and you swallow camels. You choke on the minors. That's what he told them. He says you need to focus on the majors and quit choking on the minors, because they would argue about all these things, tomato, potato. They would argue about it. And the Lord was telling them, hey, you need to stop choking on those things. And some of us are guilty of that. Well, this is the way it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like that. And this is how. And it's preference. It's culture. It's what we like. That's choking on a gnat. Things aren't designed around us. I'll say this jokingly about some people. It's their world and we just live in it. I say it jokingly because that's how they think. That it's their world and all of us revolve around their world. And that everybody's there just to serve a purpose for them, which is a sad way to live. It's a dangerous way to live. Who was the first one to do that? You're not answering me today. That's okay. Lucifer. They're worshiping the Lord, and Lucifer's like, what about me? I want some. And he put up an argument that he deserved to be worshiped. And the Lord's like, okay, I'm kicking you out. And then he gave the angels the option to stay or to go. You know what amazes me? It's not that just Lucifer stood up and wanted worship, that a third of the angels went with them. That blows my mind. A third of the angels said, we're going to go with Lucifer. And today, those angels, you know them as demons. Not good. Wicked, evil, all the other things that come with it. But Lucifer wants the world to revolve around him. He still does. I'm not big on talking about him a lot because there's bigger things that, and that's the Lord. But it does boggle my mind how 1/3 followed him. But in the book of Revelation, where it says, that is which is holy, let it remain holy. That which is unholy, let it remain unholy. I'm letting you chew on that. See, the angels that are in heaven are sealed. They'll always be angels. The demons that follow Lucifer will always be demons. But you today and me today are in the balance as they were one day. At one time, they were in the balance. What do I mean that we're in the balance? We're in the balance of deciding whose side are you on? Whose side am I on? Because sides are being chosen up right now. Sides are being chosen. And it amazes me how people will choose the other side. It's all over. They'll stand in the middle of the street proclaiming their side they're choosing. They'll chain each other to each other in the middle of the street, which doesn't make any sense to me. Blocking traffic, people trying to get to work and school. Saying, I'm on this side. And they're going to stay there saying it. And this word, the term, God have mercy. God have mercy. Because if anything that we want to be on the right side on is the Lord's side. We want to be on the Lord's side. But where the Bible says the holy remains holy and the unholy remains unholy, we're choosing all the time. But once it's closed, then it'll be sealed as it says in the book of Revelation. And I want to find myself on the right side. And I put this in you because I'm put this meaning, I'm giving you this knowledge here that 24/7 you're with the Lord and you're deciding all the time. Should I do the right thing or should I do the wrong thing? Should I be shady or should I have integrity? Should I walk in truth? Should I walk in a lie? Should I be authentic or should I deceive? Sister Tanya, when I said my dad's real picky, one of the things that in order to be close to my dad that you would have to be is honest. If somebody wasn't honest, he would distance himself. They had to have integrity. So it's not the only thing because it takes more boxes than that with my dad. But I know that was a big box, Sister Tanya, that your dad was a dad, a man of integrity. And if a deal, someone was getting over him on a deal, he was the type of man to say, oh, you know what? Go ahead and win. I'll take. You feel like I'm overcharging you? You know what? That extra 100, just keep it. Am I wrong? And he would just keep it moving, right? And I know that meant a lot to my dad. his honesty. And I know that he did a lot for this church. And people may not know it because he kind of slid under and wasn't one to come up front. He never would do that. But I'll give you one that when we were purchasing this building and the ceilings all up here, and him and my dad were in here, myself, some other the brothers. We hadn't purchased it yet. And I'm like, I think we could take this drop ceiling off. And there's the two of them the way they are. You know, they understand all these things, and then they're looking, and then they got a ladder. And at that time, your dad would usually climb the ladder, but he wasn't climbing it then. But he stood there, and we popped off some tiles. And I'm like, how does it look? Because this was my guess. It's pretty clean up there, which normally when you lift up a ceiling, what do you see? Right? Brother Mario's laughing because he gets up in ceilings. But you know, we never dusted this. We still need to, though. We need to paint these ducts. But it's pretty clean, huh? Oh, my brother was here too. My brother's another one. And then my brother says, this ceiling's meant to be exposed. That's what he said. But there were these strong men. These strong men. And they knew this about me. My dad sometimes he would tell some people this. He's really picky. So they knew, like, when somebody would have an idea, they would know, he's not going to go for that. So they knew that, and what they meant was, I like things a certain way. And my dad pulled me to the side right after that. And he tells me, he says, you need to make sure you take your time. Don't wear anyone out. That's what he told me. He goes, don't wear anyone out. And I understood what he was saying, but at that time, I think he was thinking about the way I was 20 years prior. I wanted it done yesterday. I'm a little more patient today. We waited till these events passed this month, Easter and everything. Time for the carpet to get shampooed again. And I have to hold back and be patient. But I still think, okay, this carpet needs shampooed. Because it does, right? Because on a Sunday, from 6 in the morning till 9, 10 at night, there's people in here. Which isn't it what it's for? There's people coming through. And what comes with that? Spilling things. It's mostly water, but when you spill water, it does that. Looks like it could be anything because it triggers the chemicals. But as those men that I remember walking through and talking and sharing, and they were wired very similar, the way they thought, the way they did things, but understanding, okay, this is what's to be done, but I would never have to question their honesty. They were not men that would deceive you. They wouldn't make a deal with you to look to get over on you. In fact, both them men they probably took the losses more often than not. Just because I said, man, both of them were the same way. My dad was just like Brother Joey in the sense that they would go help people. And I saw a bunch of posts of people talking about, Brother Joey, how he, would go do things for the community. He would lead these. I think he led the painting of the big building in Guadalupe, and he'd just do all that stuff. Yeah, he painted, and he did those for us too, many times. But it wasn't about getting over on anyone. It was like, how can I help you? How can I help you? But Jacob was born into deception before he even came, and he took on deception. He used deception, and he got deceived. But when he got older, it is so sad. 10 of his sons gave him a horrendous deception. They told their dad that their brother, they showed him a coat with the coat of many colors with blood on it. They were deceiving him like Joseph is dead. And Jacob lived his life in that window, thinking the whole time Joseph is dead. Why? Because 10 of the brothers deceived him. Do you see that? But what you don't see Jacob deceiving anymore. Just like when he said, the presence of the Lord is here, but I didn't get it. I didn't know it. He stopped deceiving. But guess what happened the next time he got a visitation? The next time he got a visitation, he says, I'm not letting go until you bless me. Do you know what he was saying? I blew it last time. My ship came in and I didn't get it. I'm not missing it this time. And he literally fought. He fought and fought and fought. He's fighting. Bless me, bless me, bless me, bless me. Okay, you're no longer Jacob. You're Israel. Why? Because you've changed. And along with that change, your name has changed. And to this day, they won't eat the bone on the hip because of that time. Because guess what happened to Jacob? He walked differently after that. He literally had a different walk. His gait was a different gait. His name was a different name. He was in so many ways a different man. He looked different. He walked different. He went by a different name. See, when you have those revelations or epiphanies or change of mind or change of thought, you change. Brother Jordan, you know what happens with those changes too? Is many things like what Jacob went through painfully get washed out. They get washed away. See, the reason you need a new day is because if you didn't have a new day, all the things that you went through would kill you. Sister Tanya, every day the sun comes up again. It's what I call our new normal. Ever since my dad passed, my life changed, right? But each day the sun comes up. What does it do? It helps me to heal from that loss. Not that I didn't love him. It's not that I don't miss him, Mom, but each day, I was standing out there when you guys walked in, Minister Such. I was looking for Sister Tanya. So I was standing back there. I was like, and then a little while later, I saw her, as I have thousands of times. And it's like, there she is. And she had a little smile on her face. Why? Because she's happy. You know what that smile I saw? Peace and strength. Peace and strength. And I said, she got up this morning. And she had to do like Jacob. Because I know this. You were in a fight this morning. She was fighting and fighting, and I'm sure she's like, knowing, because I know this. Her dad was proud of her. And I know it, because he would share things. He's proud of her. And I'm sure when Sister Tanya's getting dressed and she's fighting, I gotta get this. I gotta get ready. I gotta go. I gotta get there. Not out of fear, but out of love. Go, but fighting. And walk through the doors. Why? Because it took a fight to get here. But what she understood something is strength's gonna come out of this too. Strength's gonna come out. But when I saw her walk through, I was like, yes. But I understand when you lose somebody that you may not be able to make it to church, not because of just sadness, but because you have a lot of things, or people come over. I know I shared this when my mother-in-law passed. She passed on a Sunday. And of course, everyone's going to come over, and we're just like, you want to see everyone? We're going to be at church. Because it was a long vigil. And she passed. And then we got up. We got a little couple hours maybe after a whole night. Got dressed. And it was hard. It was tough. But I was like, I'm going to preach. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to come, we're going to worship. But I think it would have been understandable if we didn't come, right? Just said someone cover, right? But it was like, what better place to be? Right? What better place to be? But to be here. But walking through them doors, I was just like, yes. Because you know what happens? And you might think I'm like sharing too much. You know what happens? Sometimes someone loses a loved one and they don't come. Then the next Sunday, they don't come again. Then the next Sunday, they don't come again. And guess what? They never make it back. The strength, they just thought, nah, I'm good. But see, then other things start to set in. The big why, question mark. The dangerous thing, the dangerous thought. Right? Anybody? Why? Why? And that why can walk us right out the door. What do I mean, the why? Looking for an answer that we may not get. I say may not. I know I shared that I got an answer with my dad's pastor. It didn't come for a while, but it came. I won't go into it right now. But you have to muster up all the strength you can if you have to get through them doors. I remember Sister Claudia had lost a sister. She lost a few. 5 siblings. Can you imagine that? 5 siblings in like a year. 9 months, 5 siblings. And one of the siblings had died like that weekend. And she comes in and she's sitting there and she's got the heavy heart. And then somebody starts like chastising. Putting chastisement because of the heaviness in the morning, like trying to rebuke it out. And I had to tell them, hey, pretty much you're out of line. There's people mourning, and you're going to jump their case. Like you're missing it. How do you expect them to be all outward expressing all this that you want and they're in mourning? Right? Hello? Can you say hello? Hello, right? I shouldn't have to tell you. And the other thing is, you can't tell someone how to mourn. Well, I do it. Yeah, you do what you do when you mourn. But let someone else, as you go through your mourning, let them go through their mourning the way they go through it. And I have my way, which isn't the way. I like to kind of keep my distance. When my dad died, I didn't even turn my phone on. I didn't. And I never posted it. Never. To this day, I still haven't posted it. I didn't want to post that my dad passed. I didn't want to talk to everyone on the phone. And I didn't want to exchange texts. I didn't want to. Now some other people want to. Right? And I turned my phone on. It was like 11 at night. Bing, 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 bing. I couldn't get back to everybody. And I know some people got offended. I'm like, be offended. My dad lost. I lost my dad. It's not about you. Right? I had one of my cousins text me, says, sorry, Dion, for your loss. No reply needed. Because she was saying, because she had lost her dad, which was my dad's good friend also. She knew what it was like, so she didn't expect me to reply because she knew that wasn't what I needed to do. But somebody jumping somebody else or telling somebody missing it, instead of saying, you know what? Let people mourn the way they want to mourn or how they're going to mourn. Right? But going through those situations and circumstances and all that, and watching Jacob being a different man than he was before. Here's how I pictured Jacob in his older age. Patient, kind, loving, caring, great patriarch. You know the story we won't get into because it's a beautiful story. That eventually Joseph, he finds out Joseph's alive. I'll just give you this one. I have goosebumps right now. He went through that whole time thinking that Joseph was dead. When he found out that he's alive, he said, now I can die. That's amazing to me. In other words, when he thought he was defeated, he wasn't going to die. It's when he found out, I got the victory. Now I can retire. Now I can leave. Now I can die. See, isn't it normally the other way? People, when they die in defeat, and said, he died, he said, he didn't die that day, but he said, I'm good. I ran this race. I kept the faith. And he thought he was dead. What was going to happen? Because it was like he was going to hold on to what? Because he thought he was dead. And then he finds out he's alive and he says, now I can die. Lesson. Great lesson. Lesson. There's all kinds of lessons in the life of Jacob. But see, what I wanted to give you is the man that deceived his brother and deceived his father was not the same man that stood up and said, now I can die. And maybe in your younger days or my younger days, there's things that we were like a horse that wasn't broken. I had a lot of energy. My young days, I had a lot of energy. I would look for entertainment, be a little bit wild. But I had to be tamed. I had to get reared. The reins had to get put on me. But overnight, no. But I know the transition where I had to be a little more conscientious, a little more alert, a little more sensitive to things. Things that I would have done when I was 16, 17, 18 and be like, can't do that. Can't be that person. God only knows if I would have stayed that person, Brother Anthony. I don't know. I don't know where he would have went or ended up. Because I was the one that was like, let's go do that. All right, let's go. Let's go jump off cliffs, right? I was like, all right, I was the first one off. Climbing the big old tower at Salt River, and you're not supposed to, and going off. I remember taking a bunch of us, and everyone said I was the first one off the cliff, boom, and then the other guys started following. That's just one of the things, and just things I wouldn't do now because I wouldn't want to, but it's like, hey, let's go camping. I know some of you would still do that, but today I wouldn't go camping. We don't camp, we glamp. We glamp. It's glamping. We went camping with Brother Joey and Sister Mongi. Now they set up shop when they went camping. They'd set up shop. I'm laughing because he would tell you my family had to have a hotel and then go back. So we kind of cheated. So it was. I know I know that was my family. They'd have a hotel back in to shower and refresh, and then go back camping. That's really. I guess technically we weren't camping, but things that I would do as a young man, I won't do today. I'm not the same person. And I hope you're not either. Yes, we're getting ready to close. You're not the same person. I'm not the same person because we learned lessons. Yeah. You go ahead. But as Jacob said, I didn't know. I knew it not. I knew it not. This morning I shared on Pastor's Corner. Every day I'm looking to learn something. Not so much like my mind is blown. Not that. But if my mind gets blown, that's all right also. Right? If my mind gets blown, that's fine. But did I learn a little more today than I did yesterday? I'm constantly trying to learn more in all kinds of areas, all kinds of areas. It's a language. Like finance is a language. Money is a language. And some people are illiterate when it comes to money. But I'm going to say the language of money is I have to keep learning. The crypto world or whatever, right? It's a language. Stocks and bonds and investments and all these things, it's a language. Being a mechanic is a language. Music is a language. Art is a language. We got a lot of artists in here. This is an artist. This is an artist. This is an artist. We have all kinds of artists. And sometimes I got to tell people, you have to understand. When you're talking to an artist, you have to talk like an artist. Because that's the language they speak. You follow me? But see, somebody that's an accountant talks differently than an artist does. Right? And so somebody grabs an artist and they talk to him like they're an accountant and they're like, I can't get through. No, because you're talking the wrong language. And vice versa. We got an accountant in the property. If you went to him and talked to an artist, very high IQ, his email is Rubik's Cube. Literally, that's his email. Right? But if you talk to him like an artist, he'd be like he'd look at you, he wouldn't understand. And sometimes I have to interpret, even though we're all speaking English, I have to interpret because he speaks a different language. The artist speaks a different language. All the different ways that we are in life. What am I saying? We can learn a little bit more. We can learn a little bit more. The other day I was watching, my wife had her phone and she was studying Spanish. And I'm like, that's all right, right? To learn some more Spanish. And then they were doing these quizzes. How do you say this and say that? And I said, and I'm going, and I'm jumping in, and I'm, all these different words, and how do you say this? And sometimes we say it incorrectly, right? We think we're saying it right, and we're not. But I like to know the right way. Should I call someone out? We're going to finish, and get it wrong. Like when Spanish, when people ask what time it is, they say, que hora son, which is wrong. Right, Brother Juan? Because it's not plural. It's singular. So how would you ask what time it is? Que hora es? All right, Brother Randolph. You catch that? To say que hora son, you're saying what hours is it? You're pluraling it. But growing up, would someone say que hora son? Right? But it's not proper. It's que hora es. Singular. You got that. But those were some of the drills she was going through. Never too late to learn another lesson. Right? Right? Do you know my dad would study Spanish? My dad would study Spanish. He was still studying, and in the last days, I'd see him. He'd have a Spanish book out there. And I'm like, this man is literally going to die studying Spanish. Yes. And he did. And then sometimes he would throw certain words out. But he was still learning till the day he died. And same thing with people we've lost. How much more you today to learn? Learn another lesson. Let's stand. I pray this service blessed you. It's just different today in a lot of ways, not just the heavy hearts, but there's a lot of transition going on. And that's what happens. What do I guarantee? Change. Change.